Hi, everyone. Welcome. I see a lot of people joining. Thanks for joining today. I'll give it a hey, Will. Hey, Janae. Oh, PhD soon. Hi, nice to see you. Isn't it super late in Korea? Beacon Chain. So nice to see familiar names. All right, I think people are still joining, so let's give it one more minute before we kick off. Oh, Carol, Florian. Nice. Lovely to see all these familiar names. Oh, Patrick. Whoa, it's been a while. Oh, nice. Nice that you moved to the US. This is so exciting to see all these familiar names. Thanks everyone for joining. Um, maybe I can gradually start to kick it off while people keep joining because we have quite a full agenda for today. So just to introduce myself to those who don't know me yet, my name is Christine Yip. I'm on the community team at the Mina Foundation. And today on the call, we have many people from the Mina Foundation team, One Labs, Mina's ecosystem partner. And I'm also so glad to see so many members from the community. This is a community event to share product updates and answer questions about progress towards Mina's mainnet upgrade. We've also heard about a lot of feedback and desire for more information and closer involvement in the journey towards Mina's upcoming major upgrade. While this call won't be unveiling specific launch dates, our aim is to provide you with deeper insights into the ongoing progress. We want to keep our community members informed as we navigate this exciting path together. And this call is meant to be the first step in that conversation. Let's get started. For everyone's information, this call is going to be recorded. I'm sure there are members who want to keep up to date, but they might not be able to join, so we're recording this call for them. Here's the agenda for today. First, some housekeeping. There will be a small introduction. Then we'll go to product updates, ecosystem-related product updates. Then there will be a community highlight on Mina Indexer. And then we'll go to the product updates related to Testworld Mission 2.0 and Mina's upcoming upgrade. We'll end with a Q&A. And that brings me to housekeeping as well. I'd love to ask everyone, if you have a question during the meeting, please take a note of it. Don't forget it. And please save them for the end when we have the Q&A section. Or you can simply add them into the chat. At the right, you should see like a chat bubble on your screen. If you click on that, the chat screen will appear. When you ask a question, please be respectful. And also to get as many questions answered as possible, we also kindly ask everyone to be concise and ask one question per turn. All right, let's dive in. And let's start with the introduction. I'd love to invite Sala, the head of product and engineering of Mina Foundation, to come on stage. Oh, you're there, Sala. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christine, for the introduction and for setting the context for this event. Also,
the stage is all yours. Feel free to take it from here.
Yeah, and also thank you to all the community members attending this Discord event today. So let's start with this question. What are we going to speak about here? So part of the answer is providing Mina community.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah, so part of the answer is providing Mina community enough visibility on what has been worked on during the last few months. But more importantly, we are going to speak about a major upgrade of Mina's mainnet. And this is why you see here this question. What is this upgrade? So the major upgrade of Mina's mainnet means that a new major version of the protocol will be released and deployed to the mainnet of Mina. It means also a significant and substantial improvement will be introduced to the mainnet, and that will bring new features and functionalities to Mina's mainnet. So this is the upgrade we are speaking about. Next slide, please. Now, we were speaking about the new functionalities we would like to bring to the mainnet. More specifically, the upgrade will bring to Mina's mainnet ZK apps. They are Mina Protocol smart contract powered by zero-knowledge proofs. So that's the first major functionality. Then the second one is the Snarky.js, which is a TypeScript library for writing ZK programs and also for writing ZK smart contract on top of Mina Protocol. So the aim of releasing the two capabilities is to bring powerful programmable trust functionality to developers, products, and end users. Next slide, please. So we are planning to bring ZK apps and Snarky.js to Mina's mainnet. But in the meantime, there are also already teams building on the testnet version of ZK apps right now. And that's through ZK Ignite and other funded projects. So this upgrade will allow them to deploy their already developed ZK apps to Mina's mainnet and will offer them all the power of real production environment. But it will also be a concrete example for other organizations, founders, and builders looking to build product with zero-knowledge proof feature. Consequently, this will increase the activity of the community and the quantity of products built on top of Mina Protocol. So in the next slides, you will see the power of Mina ecosystem and what has been built so far. So thank you very much for your attention. And now I will give the words back to Christine.
Thank you so much, Salah, for setting the stage for us. Yeah, very excited to go deeper into the next topics. Next up, we have Teddy. Teddy is the ZK product manager at Mina Foundation, and he has some ecosystem updates to share with us. Hi, Teddy.
Everyone, again. Hey everyone, I'm Teddy. I want to share 4 key topics on the ecosystem, 2 of which are standards, 2 about ecosystem partners. First one I wanted to talk about is attestation standards. As I'm sure many are aware, standards form the foundation of many interactions with blockchains, at least between ZK apps and wallets as well. And the attestation standards working groups are addressing the need standardization of attestation throughout the ecosystem to better enable the harnessing, really the harnessing of Mina's client-side proving strength. So some of you are wondering, well, what is attestation? It's not a complicated topic. Attestation in particular is about enabling wallets that store verifiable credentials to use those verifiable credentials to perform specific operations, require testing that the wallet's verifiable credentials really do contain claims by a specific issuer. It's a bit of a mouthful. And of course, with the inclusion of zero-knowledge proofs, this becomes a quite interesting area. Of note, this area does include topics like accessing specific ZK app features, or for Lumina, which I'll touch on in a minute, transacting on a KYC compliance DEX, or generally put satisfying smart contract and ZK program constraints by testing to properties of credentials issued to the wallet. And so looking to the future, we will encourage everyone in the community and the ecosystem to engage with the working group in the discussion that they'll be bringing to the Mina Research Forum to collaboratively refine standard. So that's one interesting area. Slide, please, Christine. First ecosystem partner that I wanted to touch on is Zeko, and I'm sure many have heard about Zeko. To give some background, Zeko is a protocol for zero-knowledge compute, put simply. It's a modular stack for building rollups, as well as customized app chains, recursively verify and compose with each other. Because of this, Zeco presents ZK app builders opportunity to engineer both high-performant and low-cost ZK apps that align seamlessly with Mina's layer 1. Given this property that Zeco has, this isomorphic property to Mina's layer 1, that every application being built on Mina now, everybody building with Snarky.js, can also use Zeco right away. It also means that ZK app developers can use Zeco's modular stack to address the visions that they're building in the ecosystem. In the near future, do look out for community calls on Zeco with the Zeco team. Don't forget to read their white paper to really immerse yourself in Zeco itself. Next slide, Christine. The second ecosystem partner that I want to touch on is Lumina, and I briefly touched on this topic in that attestation slide. Of note, Lumina's light paper version 0.7 is now available, and what Lumina really are doing is they are harnessing the cryptographic prowess of Mina. And in doing so, Lumina is building this KYC compliant DEX that also guarantees comprehensive trade privacy. Also of note, Lumina closed their strategic funding round in the last few weeks, and we urge everyone in the ecosystem to explore more about this exciting development with the links provided for everyone's reference, and we thoroughly look forward to seeing what the Lumina team built. My last update for you all is on token standards, and token standards are of course a pivotal for a broad spectrum of protocol users, encompassing developers, artists, and gamers, just to name a few. And the establishment of these standards for both fungible and non-fungible tokens is an ongoing community effort, and there are several working groups focused on addressing these standards. Coming phases can include addressing the actual implementations, proof of concepts, and of course collaboratively refining these standards as a community where we can have vibrant discussion in the Mina Research Forum. I provided three links for everyone's reference, one of which is the Fungible Token Standard Repository, led by Stove Labs, as well as two others on non-fungible tokens. The second one is on the NFT interface. There's a discussion on Mina Research Forum about that, as well as the ZK Ignite NFT Studio proposal, looking to not only build NFT standards, but also NFT launchpads that are accessible to many. But before I hand over to Christine, I wanted to invite Matej if he wanted to share a few words on the token standard that he's been working on that is linked in the slide.
Yeah, thanks so much, Teddy, for sharing about all these works and things being built. I'm sure these standards will unlock many new possibilities. Indeed, I think Matej from Stove Labs, who built the token standard, is here in this call as well. Matej, let me know if you want to come to the stage. Otherwise, you're also very welcome to maybe answer questions if anyone has any questions for Matej. Yeah, I know. Thanks, Matej. But yeah, everyone, the builder behind Token Standard is here. So if you have any question, feel free to ask as well during the Q&A section. Thanks, Matej. All right, I see we already have Vitor here. Vitor is our protocol product manager at the Mina Foundation, and he has a community highlight to share with us on Mina Indexer.
Indeed. Hello, everyone. I would like to make a quick introduction to a new product that Granola has been working on. It's called Mina Indexer, and it's in the MVP phase. So we have a working, mineable, minimum viable product. Christine, next slide, please. So Granola is also behind the on-chain voting system. And while they were using their current indexing solutions, they found the need to make an alternative system where they can adjust to their needs. So the MVP of Mina Indexer is really focusing on the on-chain voting. Of course, it can be extended. Also, we see the opportunity as the Mina Protocol delivers ZK apps and smart contract capabilities. There will be the need to have easy onboarding to install, use, and maintain a blockchain indexer. It will increase significantly, of course. Mainly, it should be very straightforward to any user to just download a package, install it, and start using right away. So the main users that this product is built for is really anyone that requires access to the Mina Protocol historical data. As you know, Mina is a succinct blockchain, and in order to have the historical data from all the transactions that happened in the past, it needs to be stored elsewhere, not in the blockchain itself, but elsewhere in a backup system, all the transactions that happen, all the blocks. So it's really addressing the need of these users, web developers, DApp and ZK app developers, Rosetta users, which are mainly exchanges, researchers that want to analyze and investigate activity and the usage of the blockchain, and also service providers. So their solution is really focusing on the next features. So they're really focusing on easy to install and maintain. They will be ingesting pre-computed blocks from any source. At the moment, they have configured O1's Google bucket. So O1 maintains a Google bucket with all the packages, the pre-computed blocks, and you can retrieve from there, continuously following the chain, and also having a local folder where you can download, or having your own daemon dumping all the blocks, all the pre-computed blocks to a designated folder. But there is no need to have a Mina daemon if you point it to the Google bucket. It is also an internal database, meaning you don't need to install any further additional software. It's concealed everything inside. It has a powerful and flexible API. We also thank Gareth from Mina Explorer for open source his Mina Explorer API. So Mina Indexer is using the same API in order to also standardize all the APIs in the ecosystem. It provides a real-time access to the best tip of the chain. It can recover automatically from missing blocks, and also ensures the validity and completeness of the data it produces. It's a Rust developed tool, open source. You can visit the GitHub repository in the link below, and also there is a QR code directly to there. We believe that this initiative from Granola will really allow the community to contribute and create new extensions and modules. So I invite everyone to have a look at the repo, read the documentation, and contribute if you are a Rust developer. Thank you so much. Back to you, Christine.
Thank you, Vitor, for sharing this update about Mina Indexer. That's very exciting. And moving on to the next section, which is about the Testworld Mission 2.0 and Mina's mainnet upgrade. We have Salah here again, the head of product and engineering at Mina Foundation, and he's going to first walk us through a high-level overview of the road to this next upgrade.
Thank you again, Christine. So let's talk about what has been done so far and what are we doing to make sure that we are ready to release the upgrade to Mina's mainnet. And Christine, could you scroll back to the previous slide? Yeah. So the first step is mainly having a test program and a test environment where the upgrade can be tested before to be released. That's like a mandatory phase. In our case, it's that program and that test environment is called Testworld Mission 2.0. We will probably hear a few colleagues here speaking about ITN, which is incentivized testnet. Yeah, so don't be surprised. We are speaking about the same thing. Next slide, please, Christine. Yeah, so Testworld Mission 2.0 is an extensive test program and environment divided into 4 tracks. So the track number 1 is mainly testing ZK app end to end. And the purpose here is mainly to work with the community members to validate that ZK apps is working well end to end. Then there you have the second track, which is external security auditing. The purpose of this track is to leverage the expertise of audit firms to audit Mina code and to reduce the security exposure. And then you have the third track there, which is mainly protocol and performance testing. And the purpose of this track is to spin up private and public test networks and do performance testing against them. This is already in progress, and the results are very good so far, especially with the internal test clusters we created so far. Then the last track is mainly doing the latest preparation steps ahead of the mainnet upgrade. So the as per now, the overall results are excellent. So the number of open bugs have been reduced to a minimum, and then the test coverage has been significantly improved. So in this slide, in the bottom, you will see Berkeley code. So for the ones who are not familiar with this naming, so Berkeley in GitHub is mainly the branch who are using. So it's a GitHub branch where the latest developments ahead of mainnet upgrade are done. So this is about this slide. So thank you again for your attention. Back to you, Christine.
Thanks so much, Salah, for sharing on a high level what kind of elements go into our road to the next larger milestones. I think this is a really helpful high-level overview of the work. Next up, we have Brandon Case from O1, the founding engineer and CTO of O1 Labs. He's going to give us a deeper dive into the work that's been going on into this road to Mina's major upgrade. Hi, Brandon.
Hello. Let's jump in. Yeah, so I want to cover just like what all the stuff has been going on since mainnet, or at least the fraction of it that I recalled when I was preparing these slides, from the perspective of O1 Labs. So go ahead, Christine. As I was thinking about it, I kind of broke down the work into 4 key components, and I want to talk about each of them separately, and ask a bunch of questions at the end, and we can go into details. So the first chunk, the proof system. So next slide. Okay, so basically on the cryptography side, we adapted the Pickles recursion layer to a new backend, this like new Kimchi backend, which is Plonk based, and there's all these buzzwords you can use in ZK. And it has this cool feature, like the thing that I like to focus on is the universality. So this is the notion that you can recursively verify proofs from a ZK circuit that's foreign to the one that you're within, I guess. So you can imagine, I mean, this is important for ZK smart contracts because you can imagine for Mina, the way it works is we're recursively proving blocks and we're recursively proving transactions. But in order to recursively prove other people's logic, we need this universality. So, and then beyond that, there's just a bunch of interesting things like custom gates for accelerating certain operations, which and a mix of really low-level operations like bitwise ands and ors, all the way up to high-level operations like Ethereum, manipulating Ethereum hashes. And then there's in-progress support for a ZK VM with the MIPS architecture, which that work can be adapted to other like traditional CPU architectures as well. So I'm really excited to see that eventually included into Mina. Okay, next slide. So the actual ZK app transaction logic, which is a full implementation of the MIP that was shared a few months ago, I think. So I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it, but just a few interesting parts that jump out for me. There's an interesting action system for resolving off-chain concurrent updates. You can compose contract calls, which is really complicated in in the ZK context and off-chain compute context. And a really interesting thing is the logic for dealing with custom tokens reuses the same parts of the ZK logic for calling contracts. So this just makes the whole system faster, and by being able to reuse that. And then there's a really fine-grained permissioning system, which allows updates to individual properties of accounts on chain in particular ways, including kind of typical fancy these days like account abstraction idea where smart contracts can control other accounts. They can even control their accounts' abilities to upgrade themselves and all these interesting things that we're excited to see what people do with them. Next slide. So so in addition to actually like implementing the logic as described, there was actually a lot of work to support those changes in other parts of the protocol. So and this is just a selection of things. One, there's an implementation of a more sophisticated gossip protocol that, or a feature of P2P, which is part of the peer-to-peer network. And this is all the bits that are needed to enable this in a soft fork are in place. But it won't be enabled right at the initial upgrade. And the accounts of the ZK apps are larger because they have all these interesting features, and transactions are larger because they can do all these things. And so there's a lot of downstream effects to that. So just a few of them. Ledger syncing mechanisms had to be upgraded, and catch up and bootstrap and a lot of other systems, which there's a few protocol engineers in here who can dig into more details as well, if people have questions. There's an interesting like 2-pass application system that's needed to bypass a kind of an attack that you would have been able to perform, which and this is described in the MIP. And then just like from a code organization perspective, and you can go look at the code on GitHub. The transaction logic subsystem is abstracted over like the notion of being in and out of the ZK proving circuit. So what's cool about this is like the logic is described once, and that way, it's less likely that there's a difference between what happens in and out of a circuit, and those kinds of errors can cause chain halts. And that logic is extremely nuanced and complex because ZK apps are really powerful. Okay, next slide. I might be going too slow, so I'm going to speed it up. So then there's Snarky.js, which is the front end for actually creating these ZK apps. And there's tons of documentation and tutorial series about this, so I won't talk about it too much. One interesting part that I don't think has been talked about much is there's a really interesting sort of layer of bindings that has to be in place. So Snarky.js is in TypeScript, and Mina is mostly in OCaml, and then the cryptography layer is mostly in Rust. So the Rust is compiled to WebAssembly, the OCaml is compiled to JavaScript, and then TypeScript kind of interacts with all of them. And this is actively being refactored to increase performance, and some of these changes have been starting to land. So I don't know if you've seen them, noticed them, or saw on GitHub the activity, but a lot of performance things in the pipeline, loading time improvements, the speed of which things can execute out of circuits, as well as proving things, and then and there's some experiments that we're starting with Web GPU as well. Okay, and then so obviously the whole time, One Labs and Mina Foundation and other ecosystem partners, have been working towards this upgrade. But in order to sort of better cohesion across the groups, a focused working group was formed a few months ago, and I can talk a little bit about that. So basically, there's a series of tasks to do. You can see it's like, I don't know what percentage that is. I can't do the math in my head. Close to 80%. And just to give a few examples of things, and there's links in these slides, but so one, there's a formal run book of sort of what needs to work before we can unlock the incentivized portion of the testnet, because obviously if there's bugs that we know about, we should fix them first, right? So for example, we want a network that runs with a lot of accounts and large zk app transactions, and even if nodes are kicked offline, the network stays alive and runs in a healthy way. So one of the blockers to this has been a series of long async cycles, which are errors that occur when the run loop of OCaml gets stuck on doing something slow. So it could be doing IO or cryptography. And anyway, I'm going too slow. So there's audits of all the logic and bug fixes for the things that came out of it. Next. And anyway, a lot more stuff. For things that are in progress, there's like finishing the run book, and that also is 80 plus, maybe 90% through the next chunk there. And then we want to finalize like proposal, at least for sort of the exact mechanism by which the network could be upgraded in the event that it is voted in by the community. And those pieces, both the technical portions and non-technical portions, should be tested during the incentivized testnet, like with the community. So that's sort of in progress. Next one. And then also like all the monitoring that needs to get in place for to make sure that we know when bugs are happening. And that's like very straightforward and mostly done as well. Next slide. So there's also like things that we need for the actual upgrade when the testnet is, when the incentivized testnet part has started. So just to give some examples, doing the upgrade, monitoring bugs. I don't remember, maybe these are too boring. I don't remember what I said. And then emergency hard fork plans. Okay, we can keep going. And then things for later, enabling Bitswap, like I mentioned, and then a really big important one, and hopefully this is the first start of it, but education on how the protocol works, and that the form of which needs to be multifaceted, like videos, documentation, explanations, literal teaching, people sitting in a room with each other and talking and explaining, and onboarding and pair coding and all these things. And that's not just for the community and like the broader community, and also different parts of core teams within the ecosystem. Well, I think that's it, right, Christine?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Brendan. And you are right on time. Thanks so much, Brendan, for sharing the more in-depth technical updates. That was very helpful to show more about what exactly, what the progress exactly is that we're making, what exactly we're working on, or the working group is working on. Thanks so much, Brendan. Hopefully that was also insightful for folks in the community. And now we've arrived at the Q&A part of this event. We wanted to make sure that there was enough time to address any questions from the community. Let's see. I'm sure we probably have some questions in the chat. I also wonder whether there are people who want to come on stage to ask their questions. I see a lot of questions about the date. I totally understand that everyone is really excited about it. It's very hard to give any estimation at this point. As Sala and Brennan have touched on as well, this is a huge or major upgrade for Mina that we're working towards. We're working with very novel technologies and we're treading into new territories. So even if there are cases when it seems like there's only a relative small number of open tasks, we might find new issues when working on those tasks, and that will require more time to dig into. And that's what's make it so hard and challenging to predict what will happen and to provide an accurate estimation. However, based on what Brennan also presented, the working group is working really hard on completing the remaining tasks. And the group is very hopeful that they can share more helpful updates fairly soon. Yeah, sorry that I don't have an estimation, but hopefully sharing this entire process, more details around the work that goes into it, still helps providing some insights into where we are in the process. All right. Is there, well, if anyone, I'm not sure if anyone has raised their hand from the community who wants to come on stage to ask a question. And if not, maybe we can go through the chat and see what questions are asked there. Anyone from the Mina Foundation team who has been keeping track of the questions? And then we can try to address those. Oh yes, please. I would like to invite all the speakers to come to stage, and we can, I'm sure that some, probably, you are all more qualified to answer questions than I am. So please come on stage.
May I answer one?
Yes, go for it, Brendan.
So, EV Stignif asks, is the hard fork upgrade going to bring a higher block production rate? Because they say like zcaps might need a higher TPS, things like that. Okay, so we have been very focused on building the system with all the features and sort of getting it sort of stable and all these things. And performance at the L1 layer, at the Mina L1 layer, it's quite hard to iterate on. Having said that, like there's a lot of little things in the pipeline that it will always be improving. I can say like performance has improved a lot since like compared to the mainnet version, but also ZK apps has caused things to be slower. So they kind of, they fight against each other, those two pieces. What is my opinion, and I think I should be careful who I speak on behalf of because I don't know, but I'll tell you my opinion, which is Zico or other L2s like Zico that provide like a Mina isomorphic experience is a great way to like tap into sort of higher performance environment while we're waiting for the L1 to catch up. Because L2s, they don't need to they don't have the same constraints as like a fully decentralized L1 because they inherit the security from the L1. So L2s can afford to do a lot of optimizations in a much easier mechanisms to make them really fast. So hopefully that helps.
Thanks so much, Brandon. I guess that was the question from F. Stigneve. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I hope that answered your question, F. Stigneve. I'll give your question a green check mark so we can keep good track of the questions that are answered. Welcome to the stage as well, Sala. Yes, volunteering to come and help us um, direct language questions need to get answered. So I guess maybe I'll just try to do this. After FSIGNI, let's see, what's the next question? Emre NOP, he's asking, for Zeco, could you please elaborate L1 ZK apps, which is developing by Zeco? What does it mean? Will it be using by validator or L1 processing?
I can try and answer it. If I understand right. So Zico will provide a one-to-one like Mina compatible layer in its initial release, or at least that is the plan that I am aware of, and I am not a member of that organization, but I am sort of helping part of the work. And there's a smart contract on the L1 and a smart contract on the L2 that kind of talk to each other to transfer funds between them. But and just so people know, like the way it works is literally like the ZK app logic as written in the Mina L1 code base is cross compiled, or kind of like surgery was done to kind of like lift that out and stick it inside the L2. So it's the exact same logic, and that's why the ZK apps kind of work in both places. And because of the kind of interesting recursive nature of Mina, you can take the exact logic of processing transactions and put that inside of a ZK app and process transactions inside of yourself. So it's pretty cool.
Thanks, Brandon. I hope that answers your question, Emre. Next one is Matei. Matei, I know that I skipped your first question, but I'm pretty sure you're trying to troll me with your first question. So I'll go to your second question. What is the unproven and proven TBS for the hard fork protocol? Anyone wants to take that?
I can take that too. Yes, it is.
Thanks.
It's not even something that. Am I cutting in and out, or is Christine cutting in and out?
I think it's
I
Christine.
think it's Christine.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Then I'll just keep talking.
Yes.
So I think like throughput will be similar to mainnet. I mean, I guess like I suspect that from what I've seen, like the block fill rate is better. Like there's sort of sometimes there's issues on mainnet where like blocks there is pending transactions, but blocks aren't fully filled. That'll be gone, so it'll be faster than mainnet, but not significantly in this initial release. That helps. I don't have the exact measurement off the top of my head.
All right. Thanks so much, Brandon. Hope that's helpful, Matei. Oh, sorry if I caused some jitter. I'll make sure to mute myself when the next person talks. Going to the next question. That's from West Side Story. What are some ways to participate in a Testworld 2.0 as a community member? I think John could be a great person to help answer this question. John, can I invite you to the stage? Oh, cool. You're there.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks, Christine. Thanks, West Side Story, for the question. That's a great one. So as you know, we've been preparing for the testnet for quite a while now, and we've selected people to participate. It does look like there will be some other slots opening up, and we will be putting out some announcements to fill those up. And just for everyone's context here too, we will be reaching out to everyone well in advance of the testnet just to reconfirm everyone's details and whether they're able to participate. And those are for the people that we're selecting or that are being selected, but actually anyone can participate by running nodes on the testnet. It will be open. So there will be further information coming out about that. And I can take a shot at the next part of the question, West Side Story. Will all the approved MIPS be rolled out alongside the upcoming hard fork? And this might answer a few of the earlier questions about supercharged rewards. And the 3 MIPS that have been voted on, which are MIP 1, thanks a lot for that, Gareth. That was the MIP to remove supercharged rewards. That will be included in the upgrade. And so, yes, that wouldn't be included. And also the 3 and 4 MIPs will also be included in the upgrade. And those relate to actually some of the details that Brandon talked about. So yeah, that's about it for me.
Thanks so much, John. That was so helpful. Hope that answers your question, West Side Story. Let's move on since it seems like the questions keep coming in, which is great. That's why we're here. Beacon Chain, he's asking, will zkapps be run on the L2 build on top of Mina? I'm guessing this might be a question related to Zeko. Maybe. Sorry, Beacon Chain.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're talking about Zeko, which is not any sort of official L2, there's going to be a lot of interesting L2s, and I think there's people in this room who are working on L2 like things. If they want to share in the chat, but yeah, for Zeko, ZK apps like will work out of the box. The same ZK apps that you target Mina with, you can target Zeko.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again, Brendan. I wouldn't know what to do without you in this call. Then we have the next question from F. Stickneve. It's a question directed at Brendan. He said, they said,
it's the same one, basically.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Then we got that one as well. Awesome. West Side Story is asking, are you guys going to have a presence in Token 2049 Singapore? Do we have, maybe we have Lindsay here who might know. Let me check if we have Lindsay here in this call.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yay! Hi, Lindsay.
Hi. We will not have a physical presence there, but there will be community members on the ground and might self-organize a community event on site. So please feel free to reach out to our team on Discord if you want to contribute or be a part of that. But as of now, we won't be attending.
All right. Thanks for the update, Lindsay. That's good to know. And thanks for unplanned. All right. The next one that I see in the chat is Beacon Chain. Will the L2 of Mina support Solidity?
I do not know of an L2 that anyone is developing for Mina that supports Solidity at this moment. That doesn't mean they don't exist.
Gotcha. Thanks, Brendan. And Sebs is asking, does Zeko equal to L2 build on Mina L1? Okay. I think we already talked about this. Then let's move on. More questions, so many questions. Are there any other L2 frameworks being developed currently?
The author of that comment is working on one. Either Mate or Raphael, if you want to come up and like talk about it for like 2 minutes, I think this would be a good time.
Please. If Matei or Arpanic, I think you could raise your hand to request to speak. I think that would be it would be really interesting to hear more from you about what you're building. Yeah.
Hi
Hey,
guys.
Matei. Welcome to the stage.
Can you hear me well?
Yep.
Sure. Hi. So yeah, I mean, we've been asking like if there's any other L2 frameworks being built, and the answer to that is yes. I mean, we are building one ourselves. So the name is Protokit. It's basically like a framework for building L2s in a similar fashion as Substrate. It's a little different experience to developing ZK apps. You basically have server-side or node-side execution, so not all of the code runs on the client side, but it can if you want it to. The motivation behind building a custom ZK VM, different from ZK apps, stemmed basically from our experience of building ZK apps and some of the engineering challenges that we were not being able to overcome ourselves. Using ZK apps. So we have built a custom ZK VM that uses Snarky.js and Kimchi to basically power any L2s that you build with our framework. It's already live and open source. So for anyone who wants to like give it a try, play around with it, and write some business logic and runtime modules, etc., I've posted a link into the chat. And feel free to give it a go and let me know how it goes. If you run into any issues, we'll fix them right away.
Yeah, and Matei, do you want to share like the what are the kinds of applications that are best suited for Protokit in your mind, just so that people have a sense?
Sure. So the way that I would put it is that anything that you've been able to build on Ethereum or on Substrate, Polkadot, Kusama, you should be able to build with Protokit. And the logic should pretty much translate one to one. So the learning curve should be minimal for you to port these apps from EVM to Protokit. With ZK apps, I believe it's a little bit different because the execution model is entirely different. So there's a little bit of a learning curve. With Protokit, this learning curve hopefully gets smaller and smaller. So anything from DeFi through basically anything that you've seen on Ethereum, you can build either with ZK apps or with Protokit.
That's super exciting. Thanks so much for sharing a bit about what you're working on. I see that you shared the link to Protokit in the chat as well. Yeah, maybe we can add it to the deck before we share it publicly so people who are watching this recording later or looking at the deck can also find it easily. Yeah, thanks so much, Matei. And then we have, yes,
just to add,
yes.
and I think there are I think there are other teams also building L2 frameworks, and you can check on ZK Ignite. I don't actually know any other ones, but I know Protokit and Zico.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I see that Will is typing. Will is leading the ZK Ignite program. Just curious if he, watching the chat and curious if he's going to share more projects. Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. Will just shared a link in a chat. And member Coldstar and Comdex have built a Nomics network. Just going to like quickly check if they might be here. It's a bit unexpected, but if they want, I'd love to invite them. I don't see them in the chat, but perhaps there will be an opportunity to ask them next time to share something. Cool. All right, thanks for sharing that, Will. Let's move on with the questions. I think we still have a lot to go through. Okay. Question.
Christine,
The
there is
next
one you skipped in the top. I would like to address. So it's
Okay.
from Emery, NOP. He's asking, can we use Granola Graph API when Mina Explorer Shutdown API? Will it be the same data structure? So what Granola did was build their endpoints using the exact same API that is used in Mina Explorer. With that said, only the endpoints that are required to support on-chain voting use case and a little bit more was implemented so far. So we have a subset of the endpoints that are available at the moment. But the plan is to have the entire set of APIs and even support Berkeley. So I welcome everyone to support the project if you want. It's an open source project, and really we need you guys to enhance this product. Thank you.
Thank you, Vitor, for highlighting that question. All right, and I'll keep moving down. If I missed your question, please feel free to ask it again. That will help me a little bit of fielding the questions. The next one is Nick. Nick is asking, Mina version 1.4.0 was released yesterday to stable. There are 10,000 commits from last stable release. Are there any callouts you would like to make around that upgrade? Great question. Who would be a great person to answer this? I saw like other folks in the audience as well from our ecosystem partner side. Any checking the audience.
If no
Yeah, I don't
one's
see them
able
anymore.
to, I can give me 2 minutes and I'll have an answer.
All right. In that case, let me go to the next question, and then we can come back to this afterwards. Emre is asking for Mina Indexer. Can we use? Oh, sorry. I think this is the one that Vitor just answered, right? I think so, but let me know if that's not true. All right, but thank you for asking again. I'm just going through this list. Let's go through one more before we go back to Nick's questions to give Brandon a little bit more time. MTN33. Thank you for posting it again. Charge rewards and to last only 14 months of the protocol due to the delay of
Christine, I think
test for reducing
having some issues with the connection.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vitor.
I think you need to
Point
repeat the question. It was
Oh.
breaking up the connection.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry for breaking up. I'm going to see about
I might be able to respond to that one, Christine.
how was my connection right now? Can you hear me?
No, Christine.
Yeah.
So the line is still not good.
MIP is necessary.
It sounds like Christine's cutting out there, but I might be able to answer this one too. I've responded a bit in the chat MDM, and this isn't actually the call for tokenomics, but there's been quite a few discussions about this, and I'll just post a link in the chat now there's quite a bit of information on Mina research there, and it's also a really good place to discuss it. This is more of an engineering focus call, but that's something to follow up on. There's graphs and some information there you can look at.
Can you still hear me? Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, John, for jumping in. Hopefully you can hear me now. But yeah, that's a great suggestion. Yeah, very, very valid worry, MTM33. And I agree with John. Mina Research could be a great place for these kind of discussions. I want to also go back to Nick's question. If Brendan, do you feel you've had the time to collect some information?
I'm
I know it's a
getting,
big ask since Nick mentioned there are 10,000 commits, but
yeah. Well, yes. I'm getting real-time feedback in Slack. And the person who's messaging me, feel free to invite yourself to the stage, but I'm happy to say it for you as well, because that person is in the room. But I did not get a message, so I think, oh, you don't know how to join the stage. It's Nathan. There's a button on the bottom for you to raise your hand. There you go. Now you should be able to press another button below there and join. Okay. Well, anyway, Nathan's going to type the answer. So just look at the chat.
all right. So while Nathan is chatting the answer, I'm also scrolling through the chat because I think we're on time. I do feel like we had more questions. Sorry for the difficulties around tracking the questions. I now also see like there were actually also some questions which some members have already pre-submitted in the chat before the event started. Let us get back async since we're at time. But yeah, we'd love to follow up async on that. I would love to just spend the last minute on the last slide. I want to thank everyone who joined today. I saw so many members who are from all over the world. I'm sure this time works well for some and not so well for others. But yeah, thank you still for joining. Hopefully it was helpful. I would love for people who attended and even people who are watching the recording soon after this call, please help us improve the next community event like this. On the screen, you see a link to a survey, and there's a QR code. It just takes 1 to 2 minutes to fill it out. And if you'd like to keep up to date about the progress that's being made in Mina's ecosystem, things that are being built, please keep an eye on the announcement channel on Discord. And there's also actually another interesting event coming up. There's been many projects that have been built as part of the ZK Ignite program, and there's a demo day coming up. Maybe Will, if you're there, could you maybe share a little bit, or maybe even share a little bit what those demos days are, when they are going to take place, and what people will be able to learn? Okay, not sure if Will's still there, but oh, Will had to drop. But yeah, Janae, if you could drop the link to the next demo day, that would be super helpful. All right. Well, thanks everyone so much for joining. Hopefully this was helpful to share like all the work, the process that's involved in the road to the next upcoming major upgrade, and also where we roughly are in the process. Thanks so much for joining. We'll share this call and also the deck afterwards. Thanks, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Salah, Vitor, and Brendan, and all the speakers.